Zoe here. Today I'm really excited to talk to you because this is a really exciting day. This video will be the first video of a new series on my channel all about the law of attraction and attracting abundance into your life. I'm going to be making videos in the future from now on in regards to manifesting money, manifesting travel, along with all the other topics on my channel as well. But this is just a new series which I've been working on for a couple of months. So if this is a topic that interests you, please remember to hit that thumbs up button to let me know and subscribe below. And I really hope that you enjoy my content. Today, I'm going to be talking to you all about how the law of attraction has changed my life and how I kind of came about discovering it and getting to know it and practicing it. And yes, this will be the beginning, so let's get started. I know some people might think that the law of attraction or the practice of thinking things or visualizing things into existence might be a little bit wishy-washy, and maybe way in the past I kind of thought that way as well, or I wasn't educated on the topic enough. But after opening my mind up a lot and really accepting the teachings that were being brought forward to me in the form of books, in the forms of people, I really started to kind of understand how the law of attraction works, and I could see it working in my own life. And from that, I began to make it a habit, I guess, to try to attract the things that I truly desired into my own life. So I'm going to let you know how I came about it and how I almost kind of knew about the law of attraction before I had a label to put on it. So when I was a lot younger, I was a very imaginative child. I would constantly visualize things as I wanted them, things that I desired, I visualized them. And I would listen to music and visualize things and try to picture the outcomes that I wanted all the time. And obviously sometimes the outcomes that I desired didn't happen because the universe always has a plan much greater than yours. But sometimes crazy things did happen. I'm going to give you one example of when I was in high school, or right before I entered high school. I went to a basketball game, and this is a big totem tournament in the city that I'm from. And I went with my best friend Lauren and a couple of our guy friends, and we were in grade 8 at the time, and then the following year we would be in grade 9, and we would be going into high school, hoping to join all of the exciting sports teams and just be a part of that tournament because it was the school that we were from. We were at this totem tournament, and I played basketball a little bit before, and I really enjoyed basketball. I'd say that during this phase, I was a little bit of a tomboy. I mean, I had brothers, so I was always outdoors playing with them and getting dirty and riding bikes and, you know, all that. But I remember going to the totem tournament, and during halftime, the cheerleaders came out and did a huge routine, and it was so amazing. And they have this thing called the Totem Princess, which is, I guess it might be similar to something like a homecoming queen. And at the end of this huge basketball tournament, somebody is crowned Totem Princess. They later changed it to Totem Spirit, as boys were allowed to run as well. So I saw this whole extravagant cheerleading routine, and I thought it was so amazing and so cool. And then we saw the cheerleader get crowned at the end of the tournament, and it was just an amazing night. The atmosphere was incredible. If you've ever had the opportunity to attend a very big community tournament, something like a basketball tournament or a hockey tournament, you know the atmosphere that I'm talking about. So it was amazing. And I remember I went home and I told Lauren, if you're watching, girl, yeah. I was like, Lauren, I'm gonna be a cheerleader and I'm gonna run for Totem Princess in like 5 years, and I'm gonna win. And we had this plan that because I knew Lauren was moving away to Victoria, a city about 2 hours away from mine, that she would come back in grade 12 and be there for me through the tournament when I ran for Totem Princess. So for the next 4.5 years, I consistently had this goal in my mind and would visualize what it would be like to be Totem Princess. I know, it's kind of funny. It's pretty embarrassing to tell you guys, but I just feel like this is the first big thing that I felt like I manifested into my life. So for the next few years of high school, you know, I had a boyfriend. He was captain of the basketball team, and then I got captain of the cheerleading team. All of a sudden, the big totem tournament was about to go down. And I had visualized this for so long. I had pictured it. I had planned my routine. I had pieced together the music. I choreographed everything. I put so much effort and determination into it. And throughout my whole high school experience, the cheerleaders always had to attend the basketball games. For those 4 years of high school, I didn't miss one basketball game. I was so dedicated to my goal. As it was, I ended up being crowned the Totem Princess. And I was so excited and so happy because I felt like I truly knew that I had it before it happened. And the way that the law of attraction works is that you think things into existence. If you believe enough in yourself and in the goal that you feel that you have already obtained it, that is when you're granted with it and it actually comes to reality. So this is the first big, yay, like I did this. Like I already knew that I had it, and it was great. It was so much fun. It was an amazing weekend. And another big chapter of getting to know the law of attraction, or for the first time putting a label on it, is the night before I was going on my Euro trip. So this was before I was going to enter in final year university, and I was feeling slightly lost. I had broken up with that boyfriend that I told you, captain of the basketball team. We were high school sweethearts, that was over for me. That chapter was done. I was feeling very lost in life. Like I mentioned to you previously in the How I Found My Passion video, I'll link that below if you haven't checked it out. I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. I had told this story over and over in my mind about how I was going to be a teacher. And truly that wasn't what I felt like I was really wanting to do. And so I was hoping that by going to Europe by myself, 20 years old, I would be able to find myself to a sense. And I got so much more than I could have anticipated, hoped for. I brought so many things into existence. It just guided me perfectly at the perfect time in my life. As you might know, in times in your life when you may be feeling lost, you can look back and see, wow, that happened at perfect timing. I like to call it divine timing. So the evening before my Euro trip, I was in Vancouver and we spent the night at my dad's best friend's house. And he's very much into positive thinking. He's a very amazing and inspiring person. And he gifted me with this book, which I've shown you guys a few times. It's called Mind Power into the 21st Century by John Kehoe. And it's all about techniques to harness the astounding powers of thought. I was pretty excited because I'm like, I'll take anything right now. I'm feeling, I was a bit lost. So within the first couple of days of getting to Copenhagen, I started this book and finished it. It was amazing. I started to practice meditation. I started to practice visualization, seeding my thoughts, and all of a sudden, amazing things started to happen to me. Amazing people started happening to me in my life, and I started to take everything as a gift and as a lesson. It really inspired me to really try to push to get the most out of life and pull from every situation, the good and the bad, and try and learn as much as I could because of it. And like I said, throughout my Euro trip, I attracted all of these teachers, I'd say, in the forms of different people, and lessons that just needed to happen. And I made a video on my solo backpacking trip and just kind of some of the crazy experiences that happened to me. I'll link that below if you haven't checked it out. But now I find that those type of experiences happen to me on a more regular basis because I'm truly trusting in the universe, and I'm truly trusting that if I can visualize something positive that I would love to manifest into my life, if it doesn't just benefit me and it doesn't benefit me in kind of like a wanting situation. So say, for example, you like a person and you want to attract them into your life, into a relationship, but that person doesn't feel the same way about you. Are you wanting that person in your life for different motives that don't benefit the entire well-being of the world? Is it just kind of a selfish desire? And if it's a selfish desire, you're going to push that away from you. So the way the law of attraction works is you can think things into existence as long as it's best for the greatest good of the world. So it's more than just positive thinking. It's positive thinking and acceptance of what's going to happen and positively visualizing things that you know will make you live to your fullest purpose and potential that can also benefit other people. So the law of attraction cannot be selfish. If it is selfish, you're going to attract the wrong things into your life, if that makes sense. But that being said, sometimes people tend to have limiting beliefs about the law of attraction, which I'm going to be covering in my next couple videos, because I'm going to be talking a lot about money and attracting money into your life and how to not think of it as a negative thing. For example, I was a waitress throughout university, and that job was perfect for me because I spent a lot of time at school, a lot of time studying, and I felt like I was able to make the maximum amount of money for myself in the shortest period of time being a waitress. Although it was stressful, I would think positively about it. And I felt like the more I thought positively about it, and the more I thought affirming thoughts to myself, like I'd always say this one mantra to myself: abundance of sales, abundance of tips, abundance of sales, abundance of tips. And I would smile at everyone, and in my mind, abundance of sales, abundance of tips. And I would notice a huge difference when I would go to work with a positive attitude and be thinking that mantra in my head about the cash that I would be bringing home that night. And I would picture the cash in my hand, just, wads of cash. It might sound greedy to say that I wanted money, but after my next couple videos, you'll understand that to become financially abundant, you need to have no limiting beliefs about it. So you need to get those out of your brain. If you think money is greedy, if you think that you don't deserve money, you think that money can't happen to you if you don't work extra hard and slave away and hate your job, you have the wrong mentality. If you are wanting money, like I was wanting money to pay off my student loan so that I could feel financially free, and I wanted money so that I could go on more trips, and I wanted money so that I could do things that were fulfilling to me, that would also bring inspiration and benefit other people's lives in some way. I'll give you an example. So me and my roommate, who's one of my best friends, Jen, you've met her in my sister tag, I'll link it below. So Jen and I spontaneously booked a trip to Cabo. This is right after I finished my exams, my 4th year exam. I was done university. So this was a gift to myself. So Jen and I decided to jet off to Cabo for a week and just have a relaxing girls trip. And it was so amazing. I've spoken about it before because it was so awesome. So Jen and I spontaneously booked this trip, and I didn't have the money to go on a trip like this. I had just finished university. I needed to start thinking about paying back my student loans. I was moving to Toronto a few months later, and it wasn't a smart choice, I guess, to book a trip to Cabo. But I started to think way more positively about going to work, picking up shifts, and thinking that mantra: abundance of sales, abundance of tips. And I paid Jen back in cash for that in like a week or two, which wasn't the normal amount of money that I would make in cash. So it just goes to show that when you really set your mind to something and you really focus on visualizing, because you feel like you deserve it and that you already have it, it will happen for you. Next, another chapter that was big for me with the law of attraction is moving to Toronto. So because I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life before going to Europe, kind of after I got back from Europe, I really asked the universe, because I was trusting in it after reading this book and everything that happened to me. I said, give me a sign. Where am I supposed to go? What am I supposed to do? Because my heart wants to go to Italy, but it doesn't seem possible, and it isn't exactly possible for me right now. I needed kind of a stepping stone to get there. So I asked the universe for a sign, and Toronto was everywhere. Toronto was a city I'd never been to before. I never had a desire to go to Toronto, but I had customers come in. I remember customers consecutively for 1 week, every single time somebody came into the restaurant. I'm from Toronto. I just got back from Toronto. I'm going to Toronto next week. Everybody was talking about Toronto, and I was like, is that my sign? Is it Toronto? And more things started to happen like that. I think that when you are a little bit unsure of exactly what you might want, if you put it out there and you positively visualize a positive outcome for yourself, all of a sudden you'll be granted with the signs. Hopefully that makes sense. So Toronto was the next step. I moved to Toronto, and within a week or two of being Toronto, I attracted all of these amazing things to myself. Free tickets to sports games. I didn't have any friends there. I knew a couple of connections who are now good friends of mine, but I didn't know anybody, really, and I was on my own. And I started to attract all these amazing situations and opportunities into my life to grant me the most fulfilling experience, where I was able to learn so many things. And it's not like I thought to myself, I'm going to attract free Jays tickets. It was, I already had pictured myself sitting in the stands at a Blue Jays game, and even though I might not have had the money, the extra money to go spend on things like that, all of a sudden I was there. I was sitting there, and I was there for free. Same thing with Maple Leafs games. Maple Leaf games are expensive, and I seemed to attract that into my life. It was fun. It's fun and rewarding when you see these things start to present themselves into your life, and you're like, wow, this is kind of like magic powers. But it's not magic powers, it's manifesting. If you positively visualize yourself in your happiest place and doing things that you think will be enjoyable and further you as a person in your personal growth, they will start to present themselves. And maybe now, as I'm talking about this, you can start to recognize things in your own life that you feel like you've thought into existence. So next, I just briefly want to touch on vision boarding because I've made a video about that in the past, which I'll link below. And in 2016, with my vision board, within a couple of short months, I was able to manifest amazing results. And the funny thing is about vision boards is that you'll notice connections that you might not even intended when you put them on the board, but you get something even greater than what you had hoped for or imagined. It's always something a little bit different, but it's always something a little bit better. So I think that that's a positive tool for you to use if the law of attraction interests you. So I'll make sure to link that video below, and I definitely plan on making another video all about vision boarding in the future, in this series as well. But I just wanted to touch on that briefly because if any of you have had vision boards in the past, you know what I'm talking about. How you can place these images on a board and all of a sudden you get so much more in return. So it's all about that positive thinking, putting out positive energy and thoughts into the universe, and you will get it back in tenfold. And lastly, I want to touch on Italy because, as you know, if you've been following me for a long time, living in Rome was an absolute dream of mine, and a dream that I had limiting beliefs about. I had limiting beliefs up until 3 months before I left because I made the decision 3 months before I left. And I finally had the courage to ditch my limiting beliefs, and finally things started to appear and happen for me. But like I said, this was a dream for me. I consciously thought about moving to Italy every single day. Since I visited Rome, especially 4.5 years ago, I couldn't get it out of my mind. I'd picture myself walking through the streets. I would rewatch movies that were set in Italy or set in Rome specifically, like Eat, Pray, Love, and I would imagine myself there. Or I remember on cold winter days in Toronto when I didn't want to walk to work, when I was just feeling a little bit frustrated with my current situation and feeling like I would never be able to make it to move to Italy because of how expensive it was to live in the city and things like that. But as I would walk through the snow, I would visualize what it would be like for me to walk through, say, like Trastevere, with the sun on my face, just being happy and content, and being a lot more carefree. So I would consciously visualize that all the time, and it's just amazing how there's been so many times in Rome when it's almost like deja vu because it's something that I visualized so much that I brought into existence. So I'll give you an example. Sometimes I would visualize myself walking around the Spanish Steps at night, and then one evening in December, I was at the Spanish Steps at night by myself, and I was just walking, listening to music, and it was one of those weird times when nobody's on the Spanish Steps, and it was just me, and I just was so overcome with joy because I want to cry, and I'm thinking about it right now, it kind of makes me emotional because I was just so content, and I am so content with where I am, and I truly know and believe that I brought it into existence for myself. And that's why I wanted to make this series for you guys, because maybe you're not open to the law of attraction, maybe it's not something that you've thought about before, or maybe you're one of those people who think it's quite wishy-washy. But whether it is wishy-washy, it has given me such a more positive and fulfilling life that I hope that in this next series of mine I can grant you some inspiration to finally attract that financial abundance into your life, finally attract that trip into your life, finally make that big move. And I just really, truly want you to believe in yourself that you can do it, because finally, like I told you 3 months before moving here, I ditched the limiting beliefs. And I'm writing all about this in my book, which should be out hopefully by the end of February, beginning of March. So stay tuned for that as well. I wrote all about how I finally just pulled the cord on that voice in your head that says, you can't do it, you can't afford it. Why do you think you could do that? Just be open to the universe and be open to things like the law of attraction, because like I said, it can grant you just such a fulfilling life. Anyways, guys, I'm going to go, but stay tuned for the next few videos in this series. They're going to be all about limiting beliefs and attracting finances into your life. And who doesn't want more money, okay? It's not greedy to want money, because as I'll explain in the videos, you're wanting money to share the wealth. All right, guys, I will see you in my next video. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up and subscribe below. Like and share this video, please. It would really help me out. And I will see you again soon. Bye.